We're going to talk about what happens when we start romanticizing the past. When all of those like realistic or unrealistic, like glossy glamorization, romanticizing our past drinking days comes back up. And how we can kind of nip it in the bud and bring ourselves back to the present and stay grounded in the present and why it's better for us, okay? This happens especially around the holidays, which is why I want to talk about this now. But it can happen anytime. Like I said, maybe you're coming up on your first vacation since you quit drinking. Maybe it's just getting used to sober weekends. Maybe it's a birthday, it's an anniversary, it's anything, you guys. But around the holidays especially, it's so easy to slip into nostalgia, right? This trick that our brain and our subconscious plays on us, where all of a sudden we only remember the good things, the things that we think felt good, and everything else kind of fades to the background. All right. This can happen around the holidays for a lot of reasons, right? It might just be the act of like decorating a tree. It might be smelling a candle. It might be like seeing wine glasses set out somewhere. It could be the music. It could be, a party or a gathering coming up. But suddenly you find yourself playing that highlight reel of holidays past where you used to drink. And you can start to believe the lie, because it is a lie, that all of the good things, like the laughter, the warm feeling, the coziness, like the twinkle of it all, you start to think that that was because of the alcohol. And that without that wine, without that bubbly champagne, without the whiskey old fashioned, whatever it is, that those things are not going to happen for you anymore. That they're going to be out of your reach, that you're going to be somehow kind of on the outside now, feeling less than or feeling not as good about your holidays simply because you're not drinking. But this is the thing, you guys. This is what I've learned, and this is what I see my clients learn every year now for the last couple of years, is that nostalgia has a really funny way of editing out the truth. It absolutely creates a highlight reel and leaves out a lot of the reality. And that reality is what led most of us to decide that we were better off without alcohol, okay? So when we are romanticizing the past, we're not remembering it accurately. We're remembering the version that we wish was true, is really what it is. We are picking and choosing only the parts we want to focus on. And a lot of times we're actually twisting that reality to serve this narrative of alcohol being this magical elixir that makes things magical, okay? Our brain likes to filter out the messy parts. It filters out the things like the blacking out and not actually remembering how the night ended. It filters out the anxiety the next day. It filters out like the dread and the regret and the shame. It filters out like the shitty sleep and the way that shows up in like our puffy face and our bloodshot eyes. We stomach our coffee the next morning, but like pretending that we can. It filters out the short temper, the way that you snap at your loved ones and your kids or your husband. It filters out the things that we actually missed because we were drinking, okay? And so it's not that the good parts didn't happen. And we don't have to negate that. We don't have to say that there weren't some fun, enjoyable, memorable, amazing things that actually did happen while we were drinking. But we also don't have to make it seem like those moments are more real or more important than the hard parts that were caused by our drinking, okay? We also don't want to believe the fear and the lies that we can't have those memories and the belonging and the connectedness and the togetherness without alcohol, because that's exactly what's happening here. Our subconscious, like the human brain, is wired for connection. It's wired for us to want to belong and to feel safe and to feel accepted. And when we spent so much of our adult life using alcohol to foster that togetherness, to foster those connections, to foster that sense of belonging, especially around key emotional times like the holidays, it can feel really intense and it can feel really tricky. And our mind actually plays tricks on us when we try to think about now venturing into these times of togetherness and these emotionally charged situations like holidays without alcohol, okay? So if this is happening to you, it's okay. You're not broken and you're not like doomed to either be miserable in sobriety or go back to drinking. You just need to pause and take a couple minutes to like recenter and reground and focus on what's true here, okay? Because when we get really honest with ourselves, the moments that we think we miss, the beautiful, glossy, like dream-like things that we're missing, that we're remembering, it wasn't actually about the drink. It was about those other things that I mentioned. It was about the connection. It was about the relaxation. It was about the belonging. It was about like the excitement and the buildup of the holidays and the events and everything like that. Okay. Alcohol is not what makes those things happen. And it's not what makes those things special. You are what makes those things special. I am what makes those things special. The people that we choose to spend our time with are what makes those things special. The alcohol just happened to be there. But now that we've removed it, everything else can still be present. It still gets to be about us, about me and about you and about your family and your friends and the things you're excited about. None of that has to go away. None of that has to change just because you don't bring alcohol into the equation anymore, okay?